I buried my wounded comrade in the dirt, then found a corpse and covered myself with it. An enemy soldier came over to inspect the area, and we were so tense that we didn't dare blink. The Japanese soldier raised his bayonet and thrust it hard into the body. Luckily, it didn't go very deep, and I narrowly escaped death. After the enemy left, I dug my comrade out and dragged him toward the edge of the cliff. Because he was injured, he couldn't climb down on his own. I looked around, found a rope, and tied it around him. Then, I grabbed the other end and kicked him down with all my strength. Soon, the comrades waiting below the cliff received the wounded man, and I continued rescuing others. But at that moment, the enemy spotted me. I sprinted wildly and slid into a tunnel. Using the tunnel's terrain, I played a game of hide and seek with the enemy. When I turned a corner, I saw a wounded Japanese soldier. I covered his mouth to keep him from making a sound. Then I took out morphine and gave it to him to ease his pain. He looked at me in shock while I rescued him with complete calm. After night fell, I climbed back onto the battlefield once again. I kept searching for survivors, bringing them to the edge of the cliff and lowering them down with the rope. Gradually, my hands were worn raw and began to bleed from the friction. Even so, I didn't give up, constantly praying that I could save a few more people. The doctors below were stunned by the sheer number of wounded they received, unable to understand where they were coming from, and even in the end, I didn't know exactly how many people I had sent down. At dawn, the enemy began clearing the battlefield again. Avoiding their sight, I reached a trench where there were 2 wounded soldiers. One of them was my sergeant. I injected the sergeant with morphine, then shouldered the other wounded man and ran off quickly. After delivering him to the cliff, I turned back again, but this time I was discovered by the enemy. Fortunately, the shot hit my helmet. I lay flat on the ground and observed carefully. The sergeant realized my predicament and set up his sniper rifle. I threw my helmet out and the enemy fired. In that instant, the sergeant located his position and killed him. But time was running out. For the first time, I picked up a gun and used it as a support, dragging the sergeant with a piece of cloth as I ran at full speed. Facing the enemy, the sergeant kept firing non-stop to cover us. In the end, I kicked him down the cliff and then, wounded man on my back, I jumped down as well, and the soldiers below looked at me in silence and admiration. And they had once looked down on me for refusing to carry a gun, but after a single night, I had saved a total of 75 people. I was the true warrior.